Hey guys! Welcome back to another Spyder adventure. Thank you for tuning in. Today we are going to be doing a track review. In the month of January, we actually attended 2 track days. The first one being at Laguna Seca, and then the second one being at ThunderHill West Track. Instead of splitting it into 2 videos and being more work for me when I'm editing, we've decided to just combine it all into one video and call it the January Track Day Review. These particular track days that I went to in January are especially exciting for me because it's the first time I drove my MRS on track. What's interesting though is that I actually drove the MRS at Laguna on all-season tires, V2s, and when I went to West Track, during the later part of January, I drove on 200 treadwear tires, the RT615K Plus from Falkens.
It's been 6 months since our previous track days. So I have done a recall bucket seat, and also I have added a catless header and a mid-pipe with a high-flow cat. So in terms of like the power, it does respond, like the response is quite a bit better compared to what I had. I had a stock setup, and in terms for the bucket seat, it was a lot more confidence inspiring. Like the seat was holding me in, and I could feel the car like communicating with me a little bit better. So therefore, like the confidence was a little bit higher, and therefore I can like go a little bit faster.
So let's go ahead and take a look. I would say for Laguna being like more of a power track, the MRS in terms of power feels very similar to my Miata, both having a 1.8 motor. Although the MRS to me feels like it has slightly more power, especially going up this uphill right here. It just seems to have a little bit more oomph going up.
I remember watching my the aim solo. The time was going faster and faster, and this was it could be one of your fastest laps. You had to lift.
I had to lift. I had to let him go.
This was if she didn't lift, this could be one of her fastest laps. I think you were doing like a two flat or sub 2 almost.
I think it was like a 2 flat-ish.
Yeah.
My PB with the Miata actually was I think a 201. The MRS here is actually on all seasons. So I basically matched my Miata with all season tires, having relatively the same amount of power. I would say that's attributed most likely due to my comfort with driving on all season tires, as well as having that extra bit of power compared to the Miata. I don't think I was driving all that differently. Obviously the MRS is still like a really new car to me, and that day was the first time I've tracked the MRS, so I was driving a little bit more cautiously than I normally would in the Miata. So given, you know, more days on it, more comfort over time, I think for sure there's like time to be shaved there. I think also I wasn't really driving so much at the MRS's limit that it started becoming a very challenging car to drive. I know for sure that, you know, the MRS is kind of known to be not a beginner's car to drive, but I feel like I wasn't necessarily approaching that limit where I was breaking traction and the rear was coming out and I had some sort of slide angle going on. Nothing like that was happening, so I think that's why on that day the MRS still felt very much controllable to me. It was still easy enough for me to drive. Definitely feel the lack of power going up the hill. You can totally see it.
So this time around, I added a bucket seat and also a header, and the mid pipe, definitely I could feel the power like being a little bit better. So this time around I was able to shave almost 2 seconds, and I'm pretty happy about it. With the NC, if you have a catless header with a mid-pipe high flow cat and a muffler that I have, it's a Q muffler. It actually is still below 90 dB, and you will still pass sound.
So basically that day when we went, the track org had a 90 dB limit, and Tommy was afraid that with essentially all of the bolt-ons that he had, he wouldn't be able to make sound. But you were able to flat out through the sound station with no issues that day, and it was relatively cold in the morning too. So if you have Tommy set up, feel free to sign up for 90 dB days because you'll make it. I've only recently started kind of graduating towards 200 treadwear, so I'm not as confident. I feel like, you know, 200 treadwear tires, yes, they communicate, but then I think for a beginner like myself, to me, they seem like they communicate less, or it's more like I don't understand like how they communicate. I feel like it's a little bit more subtle than how higher treadwear tires communicate with you in terms of feedback. So to me, it just feels very mushy, and I think that totally translates into why I got the time I got. I think definitely having more seat time for me will have me understand the tires better and how the tires can behave with the way that I drive, and how much more I can utilize the grip that's actually on my car. So I think that's definitely the improvement that I need to have. As I get more seat time, I'll probably see the time start dropping as I get to understand the grip level more. had a lot of fun chasing this Miata in front of me. The Miata was actually behind me, and I decided to let him go just to try to, chase him and see if I can catch up. I think we were turning relatively similar times that day. This turn was always challenging to me, but I think towards the end of the day, I feel like I took this turn pretty well. This kind of blind hill here is always super challenging because I feel like I can get on the gas more, but then the car would start feeling really sketch, right? I also feel like I take this last turn pretty well too. Compared to the Miata, as you can see, he kind of missed it.
So what kind of lap time did you do?
Yeah, so I was actually using a track app for this, and it didn't work. I threw it in the glove box and there was some weird shit happening and it didn't really capture the time. So reviewing the footage, it's approximately a 1:38. And it's crazy because when I took my Miata here and it was on all seasons, I was actually able to turn a 1:39. So this is only, the MRS on 200 tread-wear tire was only able to get 1 second less than when I drove on V2s with the Miata. So
yeah, I mean, technically you felt more comfortable with the
for sure.
Miata and being like the all-season being more communicative. That's why you felt more comfortable.
That, and then I also feel like because West Track is such a technical track that, like, it's not like Laguna where you have a stretch of like long road, you can really like maximize the power that your car has. So the MRS, I feel like even though it's slightly more like faster than the Miata, you don't really see that in this video.
Corner is fun.
I actually really like that turn. Like if you set it up right, you can like feel the car rotate and then just kind of
you hit the exit.
Be in the right spot for that turn.
How about this one? You like this?
This one's okay. It's a little sketch. Yeah, for sure if you didn't mess up here.
Maybe a little bit quicker, yeah.
Could have been maybe half a second or so.
Yep, maybe a 1:29. Got off the way. I did a 1:30. My goal is to get sub 1:30, but I was still pretty happy with the lap. Turn 2 and turn 3, I really like those transition to like going to the right and then go back to the left. I thought that was one of the pretty cool corners too at West.
That turn is actually, I think, I feel like it's harder than it looks. It's one of those like if you do it right, you can gain a little bit more time there. Like versus kind of like, for example, like corkscrew. This might be controversial, I feel like, but I feel like corkscrew is like one of those turns where like even if you like go a little, like you try to go faster, but that little bit faster isn't all that much faster unless you go a lot faster. But I feel like turn 2 and 3 at like West, if you can really maintain that speed, like for sure you can also build up way more momentum going into like the Dorito, right? So
the goal is to not go into like turn 3 way too fast and you lose that line. But also you have to set up your car to get on the gas early when you exit turn 3, so you can have a higher top speed go into that long straight, kind of like a straight before the Dorito corner. So that would actually like help you like
I think significant.
Yeah, shave off some time. But it's the way you have to set up your car when you exit. You have to get on the gas early. That's the tricky part.
Thank you very much, for tuning in and watching and reviewing our track laps with us. We will be going to the track more this year, so hopefully you can, if we don't see you there, we hope that you will join us over here on our channel so that you can watch it alongside with us. Stay tuned for more Spec Adventure. Bye!